sincere thanks to the organizers, course directors, course coordinators, and the knowledge partners and other concerned. Thank you for inviting me for this session. So I like to greet all of you in my local language, Telugu. Andarki namaskaram. So this is the international online training program on advances in diagnosis and medical management of farm animal diseases, organized by Department of Veterinary Clinical Medicine, Maharashtra. So I like to introduce myself once again. I am Dr. Ashok Kumar Valapadasu, working in Telangana. So I did my certificate livestock advisor course in sheep from Manage in 2018. So the topic given to me is vaccination in sheep and goat. Actually, it is vaccination and deworming, but because of time slot given, so now I am restricting myself to the vaccination with the permission of course director, sir. The topics which I am going to cover in today's vaccination presentation is the importance of vaccination, types of vaccines, and available vaccines in India, prioritization of vaccination, vaccination calendar, vaccination care and tips, preventive health care of lambs and kids, and few frequently asked questions also. See, sheep and goats are domestic farm animals. So we know the difference. What is the domestic farm animal and what is a domestic animal? So sheep and goats are the domestic farm animals. And goat is the first domesticated farm animal. The sheep is the second domesticated farm animal. So as 2019, that is according to the 20th livestock census, in India there are around 74.3 million sheep and 149 million goats. So why I am giving these statistics is, first we should understand the importance of vaccine, importance of vaccination. So if we look at this slide, see, since 2017 to 2019, that is in almost in the last 12 years, there is not much significant increase in the population either in sheep and goat. Since 2007, the sheep population was 71 millions, and in 2019 it is 74. And if we look at the population of goats, in 2007 it is 140 millions, and in 2019 it is 148. But on the other hand, if we look at the growth in the human population, there is considerable and significant growth in human population. So it indirectly reflects the percentage of non-vegetarians, the increase in the number of percentage of non-vegetarians. So to meet the meat demand of the nation, there is a need to concentrate more on the productivity of the existing sheep breeders and goat breeders. See, in India, almost 41% of the total livestock is sheep and goat, and 56% is cattle and buffaloes. So this itself indicates the importance of sheep and goat in India. So as per NBAGR, that is National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, there are around 44 recognized sheep breeds in India and 34 goat breeds. So this is as on January 2020. The sheep and goats, they are in general termed as small ruminants. They play very important role in rural economy, self-employment, and nutrition. So they give us, both sheep and goat, they give us wool, milk, manure, meat, and skin. These are the 5 products available from small ruminants. In India, because of certain religious and legal restrictions, the most considered major meat sources are sheep, goat, and poultry. And bucks are preferentially most required during Bakrid and also at Ramjan in North India. not much so demand in South India. And the sheep meat is the most preferred meat in South India because of their traditional food habits and other things. So in general, the net profits of sheep and goat enterprise that depend on flock productivity, production cost, and the sale price of lambs and kids. See, the net profits of enterprise depends on flock productivity, production cost, sale price of lambs and kids. The major income source of sheep and goat and enterprise is from sale of lambs and kids, either for slaughter or for breeding purpose. See, scientifically, the number of lambs or kids to be sold from one flock, that is from each ewe. Each ewe for one breeding cycle, one must be able to sell 0.8 lambs or kids. Or if we consider it is on the year basis, it should be 1.2 lambs from each ewe per year. And in case of doe, it should be 1.6 per breeding cycle and 2.4 per year. So the breeding cycle length is considered as 8 months. So accordingly, the calculation is made on annual basis. So this should be the minimum number of lambs and kids to be sold from each breeder. See, the 4 key factors which influences productivity of sheep and goat enterprise are breeders, feed, healthcare, and management. These 4, they look like independent parameters, but they always depend on each other, and all put together, if they are properly managed, then only one can get the optimal productivity from a sheep and goat enterprise. So now we are speaking about the third key parameter, that is healthcare. Healthcare means maintenance or improvement of health. See, healthcare is 2 types. One is preventive healthcare and another is curative healthcare. Preventive healthcare means taking medicine or care before the disease develops. Curative healthcare is use of medicines for treating the sick or ailing after exhibiting symptoms. So this is the basic difference between preventive healthcare and curative healthcare. And in preventive healthcare, almost nominal cost is involved, or otherwise we can say no extra cost is involved. But whereas in curative treatment, extra costs are involved and may be expensive. See, treating a sick animal, it will be really expensive one. The another term, prophylaxis, it is also a part of preventive measure, but it is taking medicine before the disease develops, like supplementation of vitamin E on day of birth, use of antibiotics in first week of life to prevent scores and pneumonia, and the strategic use of coccidiostats in creep feed from 15th day to 90 days of age. See, unfortunately, see, this is the commonly we found in every place in India. Healthcare is the most neglected part of sheep and goat farming. Maybe because of the reason that majority of the shepherds or goathers or those who are maintaining sheep and goat, they are illiterate people. Maybe because of that reason, this is the most neglected part. Because of neglected healthcare, particularly preventive healthcare, they are frequently suffer with disease. Sheep and goat frequently suffer with disease, finally resulting in mortality and low productivity. But if you look in the field status, so the low productivity means generally we find abortions or stillbirths at the rate of 5 to 10%, and increased interlambing period or kidding period 10 to 12 months. Actually, it should be 8 months only. And poor lactation length. So the lactation length is, it should be around 90 days, but It is almost halved in case of open grazing system because of several reasons. And poor milk yield, sometimes the mothers may not be able to nurse lambs and kids born to them properly. And low birth weights also recorded. The average daily gain is very poor. It should be breed specific, in fact. For example, if we take Nellore Brown or Nellore Jodipi or Nellore Palla sheep breed, which is mostly available in AP and Telangana, the breed characteristic average daily growth is not less than 150 grams per day, provided if it is given balanced ration. But whereas we don't find such type of average daily gain in open grazing system, very rarely we find in few cases. And low quality and quantity of wool production. And not only low productivity, they suffer with mortality also. In lambs and kids, it should be the acceptable mortality is not more than 5%, but in general, it is more than 10% in the field. And in adults also, it should be less than 5%, but it is more than 5%. See, all the field veterinarians who are working in the field, they must be knowing about all this data. So this is the reason we need to protect our sheep and goat from infectious disease and other types of disease, which is very important. This is to protect breeder's reproductive life. See, the breeder means the adult animal whose breeding life starts from 12 months to 6 years and it lasts at the till 6 to 7 years. After that, generally the reproductive efficiency naturally decreases. So we need to take sufficient number of lambs and kids at the rate of one per each breeding cycle till it gets or till it loses its efficiency. So to get the optimum reproductive life from each breeder, we need to protect the sheep and goat from infectious disease. And to get standard farm productivity and to protect newborn lambs from birth to sale. See, the sale age may be different. In case of slaughter, it may be 4 to 9 months. Or if it is to be sold for breeding purpose, in general, it is sold after 1 year of age. But till that age, until unless the newborn are saved, they are protected. So there will be not much income from sale of lambs. So prevention is always better than cure. The best way to deal with a health problem is to prevent it from occurring. So prevention is always better than cure. We all know about it. PHC, that is preventive health care. It is the main component of healthcare. As I told you in the earlier slide, healthcare is two parts. One is preventive healthcare and another is curative healthcare. So now our focus is much on preventive healthcare only. So preventive healthcare helps in prevention and control of disease. And the today's topic, vaccination, is part of preventive healthcare. So let me give more details about vaccination. My presentation is more practical oriented because I have been working in the field since last 31 years and another 2 years due for retirement. So I am trying to give all my experiences along with this presentation. So vaccination means it is administration of a vaccine. Vaccination is a practice of building immunity artificially. Practice of building immunity artificially against specific infectious disease by injecting vaccines. Vaccination is a form of risk management. See, the flock which are vaccinated against specific diseases are less suffer with those particular diseases. So it is one type of form of risk management and it's like insuring sheep and goat. And vaccines are generally inexpensive and easy to apply. But in states like Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, the government itself, they are providing all types of vaccines free of cost to all the shepherds. But I have no idea about the other states. And it provides active immunity for a specific period. See, I will be explaining about what is active immunity and what is passive immunity. So all the vaccines, they provide immunity for a specific period, not lifelong. So vaccination is to be repeated as per immunity period. For example, if we give PPR, the immunity period lasts for a period of 3 years. So after 3 years, again PPR vaccine is to be repeated. Likewise, there are certain specific period of immunity is offered by different kind of vaccines. So according to the immunity period offered by that particular vaccine, we need to repeat the vaccines, and it prevents further spread of disease. But one should note that vaccination is not a substitute for biosecurity. So vaccine definition, it is a biological agent or an antigenic substance prepared from the causative agent of a disease. So only one slide about immunity. This is the ability of an organism to resist a particular infection or toxin by the action of specific antibodies or sensitized white blood cells. Immunity is of two types. One is active immunity, another is passive immunity. And again, active immunity is two types: natural active immunity and acquired active. So passive immunity is also two types: natural and acquired. So we all know that colostrum provides natural passive immunity, and vaccination provides active acquired immunity. So this is one slide which shows the clear picture of passive immunity and active immunity. If the first dose is given at particular age, how it acts, and if second dose is given at a particular age, how it acts, and what is the protective antibody level. So this is very clearly displayed in this slide. So as sheep and goats frequently suffer with infectious disease because majority of the sheep and goat are kept under open grazing system, that they don't get sufficient nutrition through grazing, and many a times they don't get potable drinking water also. Because of overgrazing in a particular area, so they frequently, repeatedly get infected with disease and internal worms. So once they get infected with the disease, it leads to mortality and poor productivity. And these diseases, they cause expenses on treating the sick animals. And at the last, it creates lot of discomfort to the owner, to the shepherd in fact. But in India, vaccines are not available for all diseases of sheep and goats. See, there are several diseases which are most prevalent in many areas. So all the diseases are not equally prevalent in all the areas in India, but as per the epidemic status of those particular areas, all the vaccines are not available. For example, for foot rot, there is no vaccine, which is more commonly found in almost all the flocks, and there is no vaccine for certain skin infections also. But the disease which can be prevented by vaccination with the vaccines available in India. So the viral disease which can be prevented are PPR, pox, blue tongue, FMD. So the bacterial disease which can be prevented by vaccination are tetanus, ET, HS, brucellosis, anthrax. So these 9 types of vaccines are available in India. They are in Telangana and AP, they are manufactured by state governments. Otherwise, vaccines are available in private sector also. So this vaccination calendar is one area which looks more confusing for new entrepreneurs. So what type of vaccine is to be given, when is to be given, how it is to be given. So because of which timely or needy vaccination is unattended by many a times. This is really confusing. So I am giving you one vaccination calendar. So in January month, PPR and pox vaccines are to be given, and they should be repeated once in 3 years. And in April, HS and ET, and to be repeated every 6 months. And in July month, blue tongue and FMD. So as per the manufacturer's instructions, either to be repeated annually or half yearly. On the day of birth, TT, and anthrax and brucellosis vaccination as per local vet advice. But finally, manufacturer's instructions are to be followed with regard to age, site of inoculation, dose, and repetition. But what I like to stress to the participants is vaccination calendar is just a suggestive chart. It is not a general or seasonal calendar. I will explain you with few examples also. And the vaccination chart is area specific. For example, in one particular district, in few villages only we find ET and HS type of disease, but in other areas there may not be much prevalence of those diseases. So the vaccination should be prioritized according to the prevalence of disease in those particular areas, and it is farming specific. So if a person is keeping only ram lambs, that too for a short period, that is 3 to 4 months, so bringing the ram lambs after weaning and selling them for slaughter, keeping within his farm for a period of 3 to 4 months. So they need only one or two types of vaccines, not all types of vaccine. That is the reason I mentioned it as farming specific. And it is not one-time activity. It is time specific also. And my suggestion is better to apply all available vaccines as per prioritization. So I will explain what is prioritization and how it should be done. The prioritization of vaccination depends on area epidemic history and the severity of challenge. For example, in the previous slide, it is mentioned as PPR is to be given in the month of January. For example, if a new entrepreneur starts his farm in the month of February, so should he wait till January for vaccinating his flock against PPR? No. The answer is no. So he can start giving the vaccination as per prioritization. So if, as per the epidemic history, if PPR is prevalent in that particular area where the farm is established, so first he should opt for that vaccine. And it all depends on the severity of challenge also. The most important point to note is it is not just to vaccination to be done as per prioritization. And it should be a successful vaccination, which is very, very important. So field veterinarians, they must be recollecting this. So whenever they go to one particular shepherd or particular flock, they repeatedly tell that sir, even after giving vaccine, the outbreak has occurred. So a successful vaccination is very, very important. And I would like to give some few current tips for successful vaccination. This is all based on my personal experiences and also from certain material collected from books. So to know about how to do successful vaccination, we need to know about the types of vaccines available. So there are live vaccines, killed vaccines, and toxoids. The vaccines available in veterinary field are three types: live, killed, HS. PPR and sheeppox are live vaccines. ET, HS, and blue tongue are killed vaccines. And toxins. Toxins means they are inactivated toxins of bacteria. Example, TT. So one can understand by reading the leaflets provided with the vaccine. So here one can find the difference between live vaccines and killed vaccines. All the live vaccines are attenuated vaccines. are weakened vaccines. And they are low virulent vaccines. And because of low virulence and weakens, they are more fragile also. For administration of these vaccines, they need dilution. So in general, a single dose gives full immunity in case of live vaccines. But whereas in case of killed vaccines or toxoids, they are inactivated, and TT is an inactivated toxin. Killed vaccines are inactivated bacteria, but toxoids are inactivated toxins of bacteria. And they are ready to use vaccines, no dilution is required. But in case of killed vaccines, booster dose is required. This is very, very important point to note. And one should understand about the storage of vaccines also. So live vaccines are to be defreezed. Vaccine is freeze dried condition. It looks like a tablet. So the diluent is to be refrigerated. So this is also one a very, very important point. Diluents are not to be freeze dried. They are not to be kept in the freezer. They are just to be refrigerated, and vaccine is to be freeze dried. But inactivated toxoids, that is bacterial vaccines and toxoids, they are to be refrigerated, not to be freeze dried. So all these instructions are clearly mentioned on the vaccine vials also. So one should make it a habit of reading the instructions given by the manufacturers before using the vaccines. See, for a successful vaccination, one should understand the different phases of vaccination also. So the vaccination has three phases. One is pre-vaccination phase, vaccination phase, and post-vaccination phase. During pre-vaccination phase, the care and tips are to be taken are given here in this slide. So one should read the instructions issued with the vaccine by the manufacturer very carefully, and keep vaccine and diluent stored or refrigerated between 2 to 8 centigrade degrees, because maintaining cold chain is very, very important from production to inoculation. A day before, keep syringes and needles also stored in refrigerated between 2 to 8 centigrade degrees. Not only diluent and vaccine, keep the syringes and needles also at 2 to 8 centigrade degrees. And if bacterial vaccines are freezed, just to throw away them. Don't use them keeping in the sun and getting it diluted, and don't use, always try to throw away the freezed bacterial vaccines. At the same time, don't use freezed diluents. Diluents should not be freezed. They should be stored at 2 to 8 centigrade degrees. And ensure the source of vaccine, storage of vaccine, and the transport care of vaccine. If in any case the cold chain is broken, so there will be no use in using that vaccine. And ensure non-expiry of vaccine also. And the vaccination plan should be, it is a prioritized vaccination plan that is as per epidemic need and urgency. Ensure proper deworming of the flower. This is also another important point. See, the fecal egg count, we know all that the pathogenic level of fecal egg count should be less than 250. So up to that stage, we can go for vaccination. Otherwise, we need to do deworming or get the fecal test done before going for vaccination. And if deworming is done, plan for vaccination within 28 days after deworming for effective immunity development. See, the maximum life cycle of internal worms are 28 days. It's 21 days, maximum 28 days. So one should understand the length of the life cycle of the internal worms. So according to that, one should plan for vaccination within 28 days after deworming, and ensure shaded area for vaccination. one should not be in hurry in vaccinating the flock in open areas. The place where we are vaccinating should be properly shaded. The vaccine should be reconstituted just before application, particularly the viral vaccines. See, we know that only viral vaccines require reconstitution. So reconstitute the vaccine just before application, just you make all the arrangements, ensure that it is properly shaded and all the persons who are going to handle the sheep are available. And there is one person to mark each sheep which is vaccinated for easy identification after vaccination. So once everything is set up, then you used to reconstitute the vaccine. And while doing vaccination, ensure shade for reconstituted vaccine also. See, not only for the person who is attending vaccination, the shade is required for reconstituted vaccine also. And vaccinate sheep and goat during early morning, that too in cool hours only. So ensure cold chain from first to last inoculation. So here few people, they do lot of mistake, just they carry little quantity of ice along with them. And in the beginning, suppose if we reconstitute one vaccine for 100 doses, the first 30-40 doses may be carrying cold chain temperature. The rest of the vaccine, they may lose the cold chain. So should not be like that. So one should ensure that from first inoculation to last inoculation, cold chain is to be maintained and follow the route of administration as indicated by the manufacturer. So this is one picture showing that the vaccination is being carried in the shed and properly the vaccine is carried in the thermocol box, and even handling the vaccine while also one can observe carefully not to handle the vaccine vial with the palm, just to hold at the mouth. Even while drawing also one must be careful of holding the vaccine vial. And keeping all the syringes and needles as shown in the picture to maintain the cold chain is very, very important. Generally, most vaccines are injected by subcutaneous method only. Few are by intradermal like sheeppox and goatpox. And even sheeppox and goatpox also, the vaccines are available which are to be given by intramuscular route. And there are few vaccines which are to be given by intramuscular route like FMD. For subcutaneous injection, the site to be opted is caudolateral neck region is preferred, or behind the elbow or the ribs or at flank region. Flank region is very comfortable in sheep and goat, and behind the elbow is very comfortable in goats. But never administer vaccines over the loin or hindquarters. This is very, very important. So this is one picture showing vaccinating the Sirohi goat. The person giving vaccine is me only. So this is a picture taken at Muzaffarnagar, and I visited one farm there. So this is the site I prefer for giving vaccine in sheep. This is flank area. So always use prescribed size and length needles only. The length of needle should not be more than 1 inch. And keep changing the needles and syringes for every 20-25 sheep and goats. This is also very, very important. Otherwise, the sharpness of the tip of the needle may be lost. So not to lose the sharpness of the needle. So that will be easy in poking the needle. So better you keep changing the needles and syringes for every 20-25 sheep. The needle used to withdraw vaccine from the bottle should not be used for vaccination. And always use sterile or disposable syringes and needles. ensure to avoid contamination of vaccine while drawing. So if the vaccine is contaminated, just discard it, because in open grazing system, while handling the sheep for vaccination, so some unseen and not clearly visible dust will be there and it falls into the vaccine. So just you keep checking the vaccine whether it is getting contaminated with fecal material or dust. And if we find any such thing, just you discard the vaccine. We give exact dose as indicated by the manufacturer. Ensure proper delivery of the full dose of the vaccine. See, proper delivery at the inoculation site is very, very important. Dose of vaccine is same for all ages and all body weights. So whereas in case of deworming, the dose is different and it is according to the body weight of the animal. But whereas in case of vaccines, the dose is same for all ages and all body weights. And one should ensure no underdoses. So all these are tips of successful vaccination. So vaccinate healthy sheep and goats only. So this all we know that only healthy animals are to be vaccinated. And do not vaccinate ailing animals. And do not vaccinate adult ewes and those 2 to 3 weeks prior to the delivery. So this may lead to abortion because of stress. And do not vaccinate adult and ewes 2 to 3 weeks post delivery also. So the main reason behind this point is not to make the sheep and goat to undergo stress, which may lead to abortions or which may lead to lower production of milk after delivery. And do not vaccinate 0 to 2 months age lambs or kids, because if the mothers are vaccinated, so the certain antibodies of specific disease they are transmitted to the lambs and kids, that we call it as passive immunity, and it lasts for 2 months of life. So not to disturb the lambs and kids in first 2 months of life, so do not vaccinate the lambs and kids. And another point is we should not give vaccines in pre-ruminant stage. So we all know that first 45 days is pre-ruminant stage in lambs and kids. So because of that reason, after 2 months only they are to be vaccinated. And vaccinate whole flock and not just individual sheep and goat. When we go to one flock, you try to administer vaccine to the entire flock, preferably to all the flocks of in that particular village, to stop the further spread of the disease. And make sure that site of injection is dry and clean. Never vaccinate animals while raining. So never vaccinate the animals when they are not dry and clean. So handle sheep and goats carefully while applying the vaccine. Try to minimize any stress of handling, particularly pregnant animals. Try to minimize the stress of handling. That is the reason plan to vaccinate in small groups and in tight pens, so that sheep and goat cannot run and move here and there. So plan to vaccinate lambs first and adult starters, so that helps lambs not to suffer much while handling the adults. So plan to utilize vaccine within 60 minutes after reconstitution. This is in the case of viral vaccines. Because viral vaccines are low virulent vaccines, they are attenuated vaccines. So because of repeated exposure to the atmosphere, they may lose the virulence. So that's the reason try to finish the vaccine reconstituted. Better to get it done within 60 minutes after reconstitution. And after vaccination, do not touch or rub the site of injection. This is very, very important. Just leave the animal as it is after inoculation. Do not wipe the injected area with disinfectant or cloth or palm. Do not disturb vaccinated flock 3 to 4 hours post vaccination also. These are the general post-vaccination care and tips. And discard vaccine if any balance left 60 minutes after reconstitution. Always try to utilize the vaccine within 60 minutes after reconstitution, but discard the vaccine if any left, like 5 doses or 10 doses. Just better you discard it. And after completion of vaccination, all the leftover vaccine is to be discarded by pouring into hot boiling water. Just don't throw it in the shed itself. This is the mistake many people do it. Even they throw the syringes and vaccines used for vaccination also in the shed itself. The syringes and needles are also put to be discarded by dropping in hot and boiling water. This is very much required and mandatory when handling the live vaccines. Then how can we understand whether the vaccination is completed effectively? So there are few indications which shows the effective vaccination. That is 14 days after vaccination, if we observe at the site of vaccination, so we will find certain things like in viral vaccination, there will be no lesion or mark. Like if we give PPR vaccination subcutaneously at flank region, so there should not be any lesion or mark. So that clearly indicates that the vaccine is properly absorbed in the body. But in case of bacterial vaccines, a small or a green gram size nodule felt on population after 14 days. So this is one clear indication of effective inoculation. And in case of pox vaccine, which is given by intradermal route, the lesions or takes should be clearly visible. So if the pox vaccine is not given by intradermal route, then there will be no lesions or takes. So these three are the indications of effective inoculation. And if the vaccine is not properly inoculated, that is in case of faulty or wrong inoculation, so there will be one abscess or nodule formation at the site of inoculation. So I have shown that picture in the next slide. And in case of pox, if the takes are not apparent in not less than 65% of the flock. See, if we vaccinated a flock against pox, all the animals need not show the pox takes. At least they should be clearly visible in 2/3 of the flock. So that means the entire flock is totally safe from the pox. See, you can find the pictures here. These two are the pictures taken at one farm where vaccine is not properly inoculated, means not properly inoculated subcutaneously. The needle is inserted into the muscle, and after inserting into the muscle, they pulled it back. So there was a drop of blood mixed with the vaccine, which is inoculated at the site. So it formed into an abscess. So this type of inoculation should not be there. One must be very, very careful while inoculating. And this repetition of vaccination, repeat vaccination as per immunity period provided by that particular vaccine. So this immunity period is always indicated on the label or leaflet provided with each vaccine by the manufacturer. So according to the manufacturer's indications, one should repeat the vaccination. And booster dose after 14 days of vaccination, in case if the vaccine is given first time, means the lambs or kids are vaccinated first time, so booster dose is mandatory, because all the passive immunity whatever transferred from mothers will be nullified with the primary vaccination. So for effective active immunity, booster dose is to be given after 14 days of time. And in case of all bacterial vaccines, booster dose is must. And always try to keep the record of the vaccine, because whenever we try to sell our lambs or kids, female lambs or kids, for breeding purpose to other purpose, So this helps us a lot in getting more price also. So keeping the vaccination record is very, very important. So I like to give one chart about primary preventive healthcare of lambs and kids. So with this, one can minimize the mortality in lambs and kids during pre-weaning period. So day one is a navel cord disinfection. This we all know very well. And feeding colostrum starting from 15 minutes after birth is very, very important. So we all know that colostrum, the first milk, it provides lot of antibodies and it provides energy also not to suffer the lamb with hypothermia. So whatever the antibodies they are passed through the colostrum to the lambs and kids, they are sufficient enough to protect the lambs and kids for a period of 60 days against those specific diseases. So feeding colostrum is very important, and if colostrum of that particular mother is not available, so the colostrum of another sheep or goat which is present in the same flock, not from other flock, so that is to be preferred, because the entire flock will be exposed or might have exposed to certain conditions. So all the colostrum of whichever is available with the flock, so that contains almost same type of antibodies and same type of to be transferred passive immunity. So better to prefer colostrum from the females of the same flock. And injection TT and vitamin A supplementation from second day to seventh day. In generally, what happens is in open grazing system, the lambs and kids they are more prone to expose for E. coli infection. That is colibacillosis or watery mouth disease. So if we can save the lamb or kid in the first 1 week of life from E. coli, so naturally the mortality will be very less. So oxy powder or neomycin plus oxytetracycline is preferred at the rate of 5 mg per kg body weight. And from 15th day, try to feed tender legume leaves. And one can start creep feed which contains coccidiostats, because we all know that lambs and kids they are more prone to coccidiostat infection from 30th day of life. So start giving creep feed which contains coccidiostats also. So from 60th day, see the rumen will be developed fully. So we can start giving TMR. So if anyone is interested in giving TMR, one can start giving TMR, or in open grazing system, they can be taken out for grazing also. At this point of time, they need to be dewormed. The first infestation of internal worm with which the lamb suffer is tapeworms. Once they go first time for grazing, they are more prone to get this type of infection. So why I kept as first deworming at the age of 60 days means, considering the system followed in open grazing system. So in general, the shepherds they take the lambs for grazing after 30 days of birth only. So I mentioned it as 60 days. If anyone can keep under weaning for 90 days, so first deworming can be taken up at the 90th day. The first vaccination to be given is ET vaccine and HS vaccine, not PPR or POX. One should note this. And one multivitamin syrup. So if one can follow this preventive healthcare chart, the lamb and kids mortality during pre-weaning period can be reduced significantly, not only in open grazing system and in intensive or semi-intensive farming also. So I am giving you certain answers for frequently asked questions also. So at the end of this presentation, you can ask questions. The first question generally what we encounter is, at what age lambs and kids are to be vaccinated first time. So it is a 2 months of age. They are taken for grazing at the age of 1 month. or at the age of 3 months, and of the pre-weaning period is for 3 months. Which vaccine is to be applied first in lambs and kids? It is generally ET followed by HS. And what should be the minimum gap between two subsequent vaccination? It's 14 days. We need not wait till 21 days in case of prevalence of disease. Until what age sheep and goats are to be vaccinated? So as long as they are in the farm, see, if the sheep and goat are kept in the farm till they attain 6 to 7 years of age, till then the animals are to be protected against specific disease by giving vaccines repeatedly according to the immunity period offered by the vaccines. So as long as the sheep and goat are in the farm, they are to be vaccinated. Is deworming mandatory before vaccination? Yes, deworming is mandatory. Worm load leads to poor antibody production. So for successful vaccination, vaccines are to be applied between 4th and 28th day post deworming. Should all available vaccines be applied to sheep and goats? See, in the previous slides, I told there are 9 types of vaccines are available in India, which can be administered to sheep and goats, but not necessarily. But vaccination should be as per the infection threat in farming area. Can 2 vaccines be applied at a time? Yes, generally no, because they cause lot of stress on the animals. But in emergency, yes. In such case, one should ensure to prevent stress on animals with proper care. So the reasons for failure of vaccination. Here I am giving a list of reasons. The first reason is break of cold chain between point of manufacture to inflation. So many a times we may not be aware of break of cold chain from point of manufacturer. We generally purchase vaccine in the medical shop or they are supplied by the department. But from production point to storage point at medical shop, but it should be maintained properly. But I am sure that the companies which supply vaccines to the medical shop people, they try to maintain cold chain. They always maintain cold chain. In fact, faulty reconstitution also leads to failure of vaccination. If a vial is to be reconstituted for 100 doses, it should be reconstituted for 100 doses only. And if the flock size is 110, and if we have only one vaccine vial with which we can give only 100 doses, so never try to reconstitute vaccine for 110 ml to cover entire flock. Leave the 10 ml, but don't dilute with more diluent than recommended. And contamination of vaccine during vaccination also leads to failure of vaccination. Underdosage, and vaccinating sick or ailing animals. It also leads to failure of vaccine because already the animal is suffering with the same disease. There is no point in giving vaccine. And worm load, this is very, very important. If the animals are suffering with internal worms, so whatever the vaccine it may be, and even if we maintain proper cold chain from point of manufacture to inoculation, and even if we maintain shade while vaccination, it will not work because of internal worm load. So if pox lesions or ticks do not appear under intradermal ear inoculation of pox vaccine, should vaccine be inoculated again? Yes, the answer is yes. If pox lesions or ticks do not appear in not less than 65% of flock between 7 to 21 days post vaccination, vaccine is to be applied again. There is no other option. So the correct site of inoculation, just one should notice it that the place where pox vaccine is to be given is at the lower third end. In general, for ease of vaccination, just they inoculate in the middle of the ear. So the animal suffers with wound. Later it turns into maggoted wound. So it causes lot of annoyance both to the sheep and to the shepherd also. So proper inoculation at the indicated site is very, very important. So this is one frequently asked question. In case of outbreak, shall vaccine be applied? Answer: yes, but taking the precautions as listed below. The ailing and sick animals are to be separated from the flock. Healthy sheep and goats by appearance, because once we go to attend a flock which is suffering with an outbreak, so whatever the sheep and goat, they look healthy by appearance, are to be vaccinated, because we are not sure whether they are also suffering with incubation period, but the healthy sheep and goats shall be vaccinated. But sheep and goat in incubation may not respond for vaccine. Even if we vaccinate them, they may be appearing physically healthy, but they may not respond for vaccine. That is the reason a close watch on post-vaccination till 14 to 21 days is mandatory to identify symptomatic animals. So if one sheep is suffering with incubation period, which is not exhibited at the time of vaccination, it may exhibit the symptoms 14 to 21 days post-vaccination. So if no new cases are found within 14 to 21 days after vaccination, it shall be treated as sheep and goat are protected and safe. And if any new case is found within 41 to 20 days, again it should be separated from the flock and it should be treated accordingly. So this is my presentation. Thank you all. Hope this will be useful to the field veterinarians.
Radu sir, unmute yourself. Radu sir. Radu sir, unmute yourself. Oh. Radu sir. Radu sir. Ambori sir.
Jadhav sir, unmute.
Unmute yourself. Radu sir, unmute yourself.
Santosh.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So that is to be unmuted from Shinde, sir. Then it is possible to go for me. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. You have given a very excellent presentation. As pursued by me, as well as we are having so much comments in the chat box, which are indicative of very excellent presentation. And now I will move towards Shinde sir, that whatever questions are there, those to be put on screen, so that answers will be given by the sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Jadhav, sir. No, really, it was a nice presentation and the field relevant. I can see so many comments of the field relevant, nice presentation, but still there are some queries that I'll display it. So, what is the reason for not injecting in the loin or the hindquarters for the vaccines? There is a question by Dr. Chandan Sawal. Why we are not recommending the vaccine to be given?
Shall I answer questions one by one, or at
Yes,
the
sir.
end of
You
the?
can read. Yes, sir. You can read and you can. Yes, sir.
See, in loin or hindquarters, there is not much skin fold to inject the vaccine by subcutaneous route. So this point is applicable for the vaccines which are to be given by subcutaneous route only.
Thank you, sir. Which
So
dewormer?
I am able to read this. So
Yes.
shall I read the question and myself?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Which dewormer can be given at first in lamb and kids? This albendazole is the preferred one. First time when we are deworming the lambs and kids, because there will not be much worm load. Even if they are infected with tapeworms, albendazole is the best one. So there is high prevalence of umbilical cord infection in lamb and kid. Your opinions? See, this umbilical cord infection is due to unhygienic conditions. So preventive health care includes hygiene also. See, vaccination, deworming, proper housing, biosecurity, all this falls under preventive health care. So if the umbilical cord infection is noticed in the first 1 month of life, so if we can give or follow the preventive healthcare chart, what I have posted, what I have presented, so it reduces the incidence of umbilical cord infection. Just you follow it, sir. So which antibiotic used as growth promoter for sheep productions? It is oxalitracycline. Sir, next slide. What is major cause mortality of kids? So this is, see, there are 5 reasons for this. See, in the first 30 days of life, they suffer with E. coli, they suffer with lamb dysentery, that is Clostridium, they suffer with pasteurellosis, they suffer with tetanus. So there are different reasons they suffer with some protozoal infections also. So majorly one can attribute the mortality of kids and lambs in the first 15 days up to the E. coli only. The symptoms are very clear in E. coli infection. So this can be easily prevented by following the preventive healthcare chart, which I displayed in my presentation.
Yes, sir. At present, there is one more question in the chat box which is not been typed here, sir. There is from Dr. Kushwinder Singh. Is CCPP, which is common in goats during rainy season, is there any vaccine for that, or your comment on this?
As on now, see, I heard that one vaccine is produced by CARG, but I am not much aware of it. But in India, there are no other private companies which are manufacturing CCCP vaccine. But I heard that it is manufactured by CARG. Not sure about it.